organizers for holding this conference for the 18th time already, and for giving me this opportunity to be part of this continuing conversation. As you may observe, it is one of the few conferences that begin in a particular month and will end in another month. 2 months in all. Of course, I would like to thank the panel chair for scheduling this panel at this very holy hour when we are all looking for more for pillows and blankets than listening to a boring speech or lecture. Again, thank you, Sir Harvey, for this special favor to Sir Andy and I. So in this presentation, I will first introduce you to Salipada Pendatun. It is not Pendatun, it should be pronounced Pendatun from the root word datu. Then I will tell you something about this study. The outline, please. Thereafter, I will mention the invasion of Mindanao, the Bolo Battalion of the Moros, the Muslim Christian guerrilla movement, and finally, the Bukidnon-Cotabato force and the role of Salipada Pendatun, not only in organizing it, but also in leading it. And in the end, I will make some conclusions. So, who is Salipada Pendatun? He was born on December 3, 1912, in the municipality, in what we know now as the municipality of Bukid in the province of Cotabato. By profession, he is a lawyer, and he also becomes the governor of the Empire Province of Cotabato in 1945. It means to say immediately after the liberation. He was a senator from 1946 to 1949. As a trivia, the first Muslim senator-elect of the Philippines, and also the youngest senator-elect in the Philippines. Not Ninoy or anybody else. He was also a member of the House of Representatives from 1957 to 1972, and for a particular period during that time, he was also the Speaker pro tempore of the House of Representatives. He was also an assemblyman from 1978 to 1985, and the Speaker pro tempore of the Batasang Pambansa, or the National Legislature House, from 1984 for only 2 years or even less. Because in 1985, he died in a car accident in Manila. Of course, our people believe that it was a handiwork of an iron lady, a very powerful lady. Okay, how about the study? It is, again, a disclaimer. It is a work in progress, a qualitative research, narrative in approach, archival as a tool. And the main source of this study is taken from the guerrilla recognition files of the Philippine Archives collection, which is a group of records at the U.S. National Archives about the military operations and guerrilla warfare in the Philippines during the Japanese occupation. And this study shall explore the leadership role of Salipada Pendatun, a prominent Moro guerrilla and political leader, in forming as well as leading the Moro Battalion, which evolved into the larger group Muslim Christian guerrilla movement, and later the Bukidnon-Cotabato force during the Japanese invasion of Mindanao. So, how about the invasion of Mindanao? As part of series of advanced landings of the Japanese forces as a first step in their invasion of the Philippines, the invasion of Davao and Sulu took place on December 19, 1941, barely 11 years after the invasion of Batan Island in the Batanes on December 8. Those occupations of Sulu and Davao marked the beginning of the invasion of the whole of Mindanao. And the further penetration of the occupation forces into the heart of mainland Mindanao was met with first resistance by Bukidnon-Cotabato force in the Digos section, Bukidnon and Cotabato. So how it started? It first started with the Moro Battalion of the Moros. It was an auxiliary unit of the resistance movement, originally assigned to stop the Japanese advancement along the Digos-Cotabato road. Bolo, as we all know, is a kind of bladed weapon as the guerrillas' main weapon due to the insufficient number of guns at their disposal during the onset of the war. And it was led by Salipada Pendatun, Utog Matalam, Gumbay Piang, and others. On the left, Dato Utog, Pendatun at the middle, and Dato Gumbay Piang. The last two were lawyers by profession. How about the Muslim-Christian guerrilla movement? When a considerable number of Christian guerrillas joined the Moro Battalion, it gave birth to the Muslim-Christian guerrilla movement. As we know, there are many guerrilla units in Mindanao during that time. Some were composed of Christian soldiers from the USAFE who had not surrendered, while others were composed purely by Muslims who took up arms against the Japanese forces. But this guerrilla movement is a composite of Muslims and Christians. So how it came into being, this Bukidnon-Cotabato force? From the Muslim-Christian guerrilla movement, when it expanded, it soon became known as the Bukidnon-Cotabato force. It is unique in its organization. Why? Because its nucleus was composed of the Muslim soldiers of the Moro Battalion, and later on joined by Christian officers and men until it had reached the strength of around 70 Christians and around 70% Christians and around 30% Muslims. And within the organization, there was mutual confidence and respect between Muslims and Christians. For example, Lieutenant Colonel Edwin Andrews, Thomas Kabili, and others from the constabulary and other regular forces decided to set aside rank seniority and agreed unanimously to elect Pendatun, who was then just a lieutenant, to be their commander and promote him to Brigadier General in recognition of his leadership. And on the other hand, Pendatun gave due cognizance to the military expertise of his Christian officers and adroitly utilized them as members of his staff, both before and after the Battle of Malaybalay, the most important battle that they participated in, wherein the Japanese forces were almost defeated during that time. So in conclusion, let me highlight some points. One, regardless of religious or cultural differences, a group of people could be able to unite in facing a common challenge. Second, in a heterogeneous group like the Bukidnon-Cotabato force, it is sometimes expedient for a majority subgroup, I am referring to the 70% Christians, to designate a person that comes from a minority subgroup, 30% Moro, to be their leader or commander. Third, such arrangement is due to reciprocal recognition on both subgroups. On one hand, the Christians' recognition of Pendatun's proven leadership, both in times of war as well as before that. And second, Pendatun's recognition of their military expertise. Always nandoon yung collaboration. So we have again proven that notwithstanding religious, cultural, or organizational differences, we can join to be able. We can be able to join hand in hand in a new movement, the movement for sustainable peace and development in Mindanao. But this time, we Mindanaoans, the Bangsamoro in particular, are joined by the people of Japan through their invading army of dedicated development workers. I am referring to the Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA and the Japan Foundation. So during the open forum, I will be glad to entertain your questions, comments, or suggestions for the improvement of my working paper. I thank you.